Delegate Scott Surovell, 2010 freshman class representing the 44th District, which is southeastern Fairfax, Mount Vernon region. And he serves on county, cities, and towns in the Science and Technology committees. And among his priorities, of course, is economic development, transportation improvements, and he has a Route 1 corridor within the district that he's working very hard on. He also supports public and higher education improvement and shares that goal with this community. Scott.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me tonight. Apologize for being late. I coached my daughter's soccer team. I had some uniforms I had to return at 6:30. I had a time conflict, but it's good to see a few people in the 44th here. I see the Jupiters and John Tolaris are here, and it's always good to see some people in Mount Vernon, getting out of Mount Vernon. We're kind of isolated over there. But talking about that, it's always good to be here. This is my second time here. Last time I was here, I'd just been elected. My grandparents moved to this county in 1935 to a farmhouse on a dirt road called Gallows Road. And I think at the time they moved here, they were probably the only Jews in Fairfax County out of 40,000 people that were here. And, it's that experience that my grandparents bring that, the part that brought the stories they told me that partly motivate me. I know one of the issues you have on your agenda, which is important to me, is the separation of church and state. And I know this issue, from my point of view, to some extent, came up. The state and this county has a history of discrimination against Jews. And my grandparents lived it. My father had to do 15 minutes of New Testament Bible study every morning in Fairfax County Public School for 12 years. And in this last, I guess about 6 months ago, the governor appointed somebody with a history of discrimination against Jews to the Government Reform Commission chairmanship. And there were 3 people in the assembly who spoke out against it. One of them sitting next to me right here. I was the second one, and Don McKeechin down in Richmond was the other one. And I thought it was an important issue to raise, to point out that people remember, and that these things have to be paid attention to. And unfortunately, it didn't result in any change in the leadership of that commission. But I hope to continue to speak out on those issues. And when I see them, I'm not going to stay silent and keep my mouth shut. I'm going to say something. So, following up on that, being new to a community, I think is something that is important, that we not single out people, and I feel like a lot of this anti-immigrant stuff. I think a lot of that's driven, and I have a district that's probably got about 25% foreign-born people in it over in Mount Vernon on Route 1, and there was a lot of bills that came through last year where they were trying to pick on people from my point of view. And I was one of the leading voices, not just in the assembly, but in my caucus, raising awareness in my caucus to speak out about those issues. And I expect to continue to see that kind of assault this year. That's going to keep coming up, that kind of demagoguery, and I'm not going to put up with it. And I intend to stand up and be vocal on that as well. Now, also, in terms of my district, Steve talked about it in a moment, but my district, the Route 1 corridor, is the poorest delegate seat in Fairfax County. The per capita income in my seat is about $10,000 a year less than any other delegate seat in the county. It's about half the per capita income of Barbara's seat. No offense, Barbara. But we have a lot of poverty in Mount Vernon. Government programs are very important in my seat. Education, social services, Medicaid, all that stuff. And I intend to be a strong voice looking out for those things, along with many of my other colleagues up here. And again, I'm in alignment with a lot of your policy goals here. I appreciate your support in inviting me here tonight. I look forward to your questions. Thanks.
Delegate David Albo from Springfield, and he's chairman of the House Courts of Justice Committee, which we've heard a lot about tonight. So, well, now we'll have to fill you in. But what we wanted to give you an opportunity, Delegate Albo, to brief us on your legislative priorities and any thoughts you may have in a few minutes.
Let me predict. Everybody talked about how there's no money. Yeah, see, I'm Nostradamus. That issue will come into play in the House Courts of Justice Committee. We can't create any new crimes when there's no money to build the prison space to put the people in it. So any kind of new initiative that deals with creating a new crime is probably dead on arrival. We'll have a bunch of immigration bills this year. That issue has been brought about, after the Arizona House Bill 1070. So I'm expecting to see a bunch of bills on that issue. It's actually a bunch of interesting stuff dealing with gambling. Some people want to, been started approached by people to legalize poker. And what's happening in the bingo halls is the ladies who usually play are getting older and they're not playing anymore, and so the charitable gaming, they're looking for something new and different. And right now you have a situation where there is a rampant amount of poker going on right now. People, what happens is they'll have an event and people rent the table, and then the people will play poker around, and the people who are holding these events are saying, I'm not doing anything except renting a table. So that issue's kind of been an interesting one to come up just recently. And I think that's it. I know it's been a late night. I was at another meeting tonight, so I don't want you to think I was that tardy.
Well, we're always honored to have you here.